Hey guys, welcome back. It's B. Today I am back with a new hunter build that almost no one is talking about. Everyone's already heard of the Caliban Liars combo going around, and while I will say it's a super strong build, the one I've got for you today is on par or even better than Caliban Liars in specific content. This build takes many of the same concepts from the generic combination blow builds, but gives it infinite uptime on woven mail, which essentially eliminates the only weakness of a combination blow build. See, a common problem with combination blow builds is in high level content, starting the loop with building up the stacks can create problems when running melee range to kill an ad is often extremely rough in most content. Now there are ways to mitigate this with using things like a blinding grenade launcher, but then that takes up a weapon slot, and if you're already likely using a 1-2 punch shotgun, it can force you into positions where you're running double special when it's probably not optimal. That's why in this build, instead of taking up a weapon slot to make your build playable, you simply just make yourself unkillable. Now I will give credit to ATP for this idea combo. If you guys don't know who ATP is, he is a Destiny Challenge / Day 1 player. He actually placed 3rd in the Salvation's Edge raid race, and I'd consider him to be the best hunter main in the game. So if he's saying this is the combo he wants to chase, I would definitely listen. Now the build itself revolves around the exotic class item, Relativism, the perks Spirit of Inmost Light and Spirit of the Sitarachne. Spirit of Inmost Light reads, using an ability empowers the other two abilities, and Spirit of the Sitarachne grants us 11 seconds of woven mail on grenade usage, with the combination blow loop of melee dodge, giving us infinite 2x uptime on our grenade recharge rate. We have nearly no grenade cooldown that then gives us 11 seconds of woven mail for 45% bonus damage resistance in PvE, making us nearly unkillable. Now looking at the build, we are going to be using the grapple melee for this build. It is the lowest cooldown on prismatic and fits the melee playstyle of combination blow perfectly. For melee, we are obviously using combination blow and pairing it with Gambler's Dodge for the loop. Our first aspect is going to be Winter's Shroud, as it has great synergy with combination blow loop, so you have near permanent slow and freeze debuffs on enemies, helping us stun champions and keep enemies under control. I'm also opting for Threaded Spectre, opposed to Silas Executioner, as the decoy is extremely underrated. Every dodge spawns a decoy that deals great damage and spawns 2 threadlings while acting as a pseudo invisibility, as it takes enemies' aggro away from you. However, this can be interchanged with Silas Executioner if you are more comfortable playing with it. Super can be flexed based on the activity, although I'd usually say Golden Gun to a Celestial Damage swap build or Deadshot Tether for the debuff and crowd control would be your best 2 options for most activities. The only super I 100% wouldn't recommend is Silk Strike, as the fragments we will be using do not mesh well with it at all. Now the fragment I'm particularly referring to is Facet of Purpose, stating orbs grant elemental buffs on pickup, with Arc giving us Amplified for 15 seconds, Solar giving us Restoration for 5 seconds, Void giving us a Void Overshield for 5 seconds, Stasis giving us Frost Armor for 10, Strand giving us Woven Mail for 5. Since we already have infinite uptime on Woven Mail, there's really no need to opt for a Strand super here. Instead, go for Void Overshield for more DR, Restoration for Solar, or Stasis for Frost Armor would be better choices. The other fragments I'm using are Facet of Protection for another 15% damage resist when within 15 meters of enemies, Facet of Bravery to grant unraveling rounds on the Strand weapon we will be pairing with the build, Facet of Devotion to help us build bonus Light Transcendence when defeating enemies affected by Strand or Stasis debuffs. Enemies should be permanently slowed with Winter Shroud or affected by unraveling rounds from Facet of Bravery, so this further helps us to build more Transcendence energy from a build with lots of darkness-based damage baked in through our weapons in both aspects. Facet of Courage to give us a 10% bonus melee damage boost on enemies affected by Unravel or Slow, and then Facet of Dawn to give us Radiant on our melee hits. For our armor, we are going to want 100 resilience as always for the flat 30% DR in PvE, and then max out our discipline stat for the fastest grenade charge possible. Everything else doesn't really matter. Our helmet, we are going to be running 1 hands-on and 1 dynamo and 1 strand siphon, giving us a ton of supers and the ability to make more orbs on our weapon final blows. Our gauntlets will be running triple heavy-handed to remove the cooldown on creating orbs, allowing for 1 to be spawned every second. Our chest again will use resists catered to our activity, however I would always recommend at least 1 melee resist mod. For our legs, we'll be running 1 absolution, 1 innervation, and 1 scavenger tailored to your heavy/special weapon. and then 2 bomber and 1 special finisher on your class item to make special ammo on demand for you and your teammates. For weapons, you have lots of options, however I would recommend running a 1-2 punch shotgun, either kinetic or energy. Currently using the old Emperor's Courtesy from the Crown of Sorrow raid, however if you have a craftable Ikelos shotgun, I'd recommend using it over this one. I'm also using Breachlight just for a solid way to weaken adds to stack up combination blow that is also a great source of unraveling rounds. And as always, your heavy weapon is flexible and can be catered to your activity. Personally, right now I'm just using Dragon's Breath. I always laugh when I see content creators on YouTube clickbaiting videos with 98% damage resist because it is the most impractical, irrelevant, useless thing that sacrifices literally every offensive element of a build for some insane number that basically just looks pretty and will never be optimal in any activity. This build, however, still gives us all the offensive benefits from using a combination blow build while giving us a constant 67.25% damage resist, and if you are able to get rapid melee final blows, which is very reasonable, you'll gain another 10%, giving us a new total of 70.54% damage resistance, all while not using a gimmick build that sacrifices everything for it. I also want to quickly mention you can save a DPS loadout if you would like to use this in a raid setting for a loadout swap ahead of a DPS phase onto a Celestial Nighthawk paired with surges on your boots and time dilations on your class, which you will then swap back after the damage phase. Just make sure that all of your fragments are identical or else you will lose all of your abilities and super. I'll also make a dim loadout swap in the description alongside this one if you guys would like to use that. If you want to use this as a running loadout for a Still Hunt Celestial build, that would work just fine. You just have to sacrifice your primary for a 1-2 punch shotgun or vice versa. In higher level activities, I would definitely recommend to keep a 1-2 punch shotgun though for dealing with tankier targets. Now, looking at the actual build gameplay, we have absolutely no cooldown on our grapple melee, which we can use a few ways to 1, engage onto enemies, to reposition, or just simply tap the floor to refresh our woven mail. Fun fact, when you tap the floor, you automatically refund half of your grenade, which makes the loop even easier to maintain. However, you will have your entire grenade back in the 11-second window regardless of how you use your grapple. In terms of the gameplay loop, it's essentially just the generic combination blow build of dodging and meleeing, just with the added utility of woven mail for the insane damage resistance, making you unkillable. For now, I'll play out some gameplay from a -20 solo Master Lost Sector run that helps showcase the strength of the build. If you guys have any new suggestions, questions, or comments, feel free to drop them below as I read/respond to every comment. And thanks for watching, have a nice day.